In the United States, we are raised on a very specific financial gospel. It is the gospel of property. From the time we are young, we are told that real estate is the only investment that never fails. We are told that land is the one thing they are not making any more of. We are told that if you buy a house, hold it for 30 years, and keep the lawn mowed, you will retire rich. It is the foundation of the American dream. But what if I told you that for thousands of people, that dream turned into a financial horror movie? There is a shadow side to the real estate market that nobody likes to talk about. While everyone is fighting over million-dollar condos in Miami or Austin, there are towns across this country where real estate didn't just flatline, it went to zero. I am talking about places where you can buy a house for the price of a used laptop. I am talking about cities where the local government is literally bulldozing entire neighborhoods because it is cheaper to bury them than to keep the streetlights on. These are places where you can buy a historic Victorian mansion for $15,000, but you cannot find a grocery store within 20 miles. These aren't just dusty ghost towns from the gold rush era of the 1800s. These were booming metropolises. They were luxury resort destinations where Hollywood stars drank cocktails. They were industrial powerhouses that forged the steel for our skyscrapers. And then, the music stopped. The industry left. The water turned toxic, or the economy simply collapsed under its own weight, leaving behind a landscape of empty shells and broken promises. Today, we are taking a tour through the graveyard of the American real estate market. We are looking at 10 towns where the for sale signs have faded into the background because nobody is buying. You might be tempted. You might be scrolling Zillow at 2 a.m., see a 5-bedroom house for the price of a used Honda Civic, and think, I can fix her. I can turn this into an Airbnb. I can retire here for pennies. But trust me, you can't. These aren't fixer-uppers. They are financial traps. They are money pits. They are places where your investment will go to die. From the desert mirage that scammed a generation to the island resort that smells like death. Here are 10 U.S. towns where real estate went to zero, and the honest reasons why you should never ever move there. Number 10. California City. California. If you look at a map of California, you will see something strange in the Mojave Desert. In terms of land area, California City is the third largest city in the state. It is geographically bigger than San Francisco. It is bigger than Pittsburgh. If you look at satellite imagery, you will see thousands of streets. You will see cul-de-sacs, avenues and boulevards, all perfectly laid out in a massive grid. It looks like a booming metropolis waiting to happen. But if you zoom in closer, you will notice something terrifying. There are no houses. In the 1950s, a developer named Nat Mendelsohn had a dream. He wanted to build a city to rival Los Angeles. He bought 80,000 acres of dirt. He bulldozed roads, he laid out water pipes, he named the streets, and then he sold thousands of lots to investors. Doctors, teachers, workers, who thought they were buying into the next big California boom. But the people never came. The industry never arrived. Today, California City is a ghost grid. You can drive for miles on paved roads, stopping at stop signs where no other cars exist. The only residents on these streets are tumbleweeds, coyotes, and the occasional tortoise. Real estate here is deceptively cheap. You can buy a plot of land for pennies. You can find half-finished houses for under $150,000. On paper, it looks like the deal of the century. You are 2 hours from Los Angeles. You are in California, but you are buying into a mirage. The infrastructure is crumbling because there is no tax base to support it. The water pipes beneath those empty streets are rusting away, leaking water into the desert sand. And living here? It feels like living in a computer simulation that failed to render. It is eerie. It is quiet. The wind howls across the flat desert floor, kicking up dust storms that coat everything in grit. It attracts a specific crowd now. It is a haven for people who want to disappear. It attracts people who want to ride dirt bikes and ATVs where the police won't bother them. And sadly, it is full of people who got tricked into buying a great investment in the 70s and are now stuck with worthless dirt. It is a monument to failed ambition, a city that exists on a map but not in reality. Number 9. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. History is cruel to Pine Bluff. Once upon a time, this was the jewel of the Arkansas Delta. It was a cotton boom town. In the mid-20th century, it was prosperous, bustling, and beautiful. It was a center of commerce and culture. Today, if you Google Pine Bluff, the autofill results are tragic. It is statistically one of the fastest shrinking cities in America. It has lost nearly half its population since its peak. What happened? The classic American tragedy. Industry left, jobs vanished, and despair moved in. Pine Bluff consistently ranks as one of the most dangerous small cities in the United States. We are not talking about petty theft or graffiti. We are talking about violent crime rates that rival major metropolitan war zones. The violence here is personal, it is frequent, and it has shattered the community. The real estate market here has completely collapsed. You can buy a house for $30,000. I am not joking. You can buy a 3-bedroom home for the price of a renovation project in a normal city, but drive down the streets and you will see why. There are entire blocks where every other house is boarded up. Burned-out shells stand next to occupied homes. Nature is reclaiming the city. Kudzu vines are swallowing porches, and trees are growing through roofs. The downtown, which used to be filled with department stores, theaters, and life, is now a collection of empty brick shells. The University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff is there, fighting hard to hold things together, but it is an uphill battle against economic gravity. For a retiree looking at Zillow, this looks like a budget paradise. You see a house for $40,000 and think, I can live on my Social Security check like a king here. But the cost of living safely? That is astronomical. You cannot put a price on the psychological weight of fear. You cannot put a price on the feeling of needing to check your door locks 3 times before you go to sleep, or being afraid to stop at a red light at night. The locals who stay are resilient. Wonderful people who are fighting for their town's survival. But for an outsider looking to buy property, it is a tragedy waiting to happen. You aren't investing in a home. You are catching a falling knife. Number 8. Welch, West Virginia. If you want to understand what happens when a town relies entirely on a single industry, you have to go to Welch. Located deep in the winding valleys of the Appalachian Mountains, Welch was once the New York City of coal country. In the 1940s, it was incredibly wealthy. It was the hub of McDowell County, which broke records for coal production. It was so crowded on Saturday nights that people had to walk in the streets because the sidewalks were overflowing. There were 3 hospitals. There were movie theaters. There was money. But when coal collapsed, Welch didn't just decline, it plummeted. The geography here is unique and claustrophobic. The town is built into a steep, narrow ravine. There isn't much flat land, so when the businesses closed, the buildings didn't get repurposed. They just sat there, rotting into the valley floor. Today, you can buy a house in Welch for $20,000. Sometimes less. You can buy commercial buildings downtown for the price of a used car. But many of these homes are old company houses built 100 years ago for miners. They are falling apart. The plumbing is ancient lead pipes. The electrical wiring is a fire hazard. The foundations are sliding down the damp mountainside. The population has dropped from over 6,000 to barely 1,000 people. The major grocery stores are gone. The hospital closed. The silence in the valley is deafening. It is heartbreakingly beautiful in a visual sense. The lush green mountains reclaiming the red brick buildings. But economically, it is a dead zone. It is a food desert and a jobs desert. If you buy a house here, you will likely never be able to sell it. You are buying a liability, not an asset. You are buying a piece of history that is slowly dissolving back into the earth. It is a place where time didn't just stop, it gave up and walked away. Number 7. Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown is the poster child for the Rust Belt. It was a steel giant. For decades, the blast furnaces burned 24/7, lighting up the night sky. The air was gray with smoke, but the locals smelled money. It was a blue-collar paradise where a high school graduate could buy a house, a boat, and a cabin on the lake. Then came Black Monday. In September of 1977, the major steel mills closed. 5,000 people lost their jobs in a single day. It was an economic nuclear bomb. Real estate in Youngstown became famous for being virtually free. At one point, the average home price in some neighborhoods was under $20,000. The city had so many abandoned homes, over 4,000 of them, that they had to come up with a radical plan. They started a program called the Incredible Shrinking City. Instead of trying to grow, the city government accepted the painful reality. They started bulldozing entire neighborhoods. They cut off utilities to empty streets. They turned residential blocks back into green space. Buying a house here is a gamble, unlike any other. You might see a listing for a beautiful, sturdy brick house for $40,000. It looks perfect, but when you arrive, you might realize it is the only house left on the block. The houses on the left and right have been demolished. Your neighbors are deer, pheasants, and tall grass. While there are heroic efforts to revitalize the downtown and the university area, the vast residential zones are a patchwork of emptiness. It is affordable, yes, but it is lonely. And watching your city literally be erased around you, watching the bulldozers come for the house across the street, is a psychological weight that most retirees don't want to carry. You aren't just buying a house, you are living in a demolition zone. Number 6. Gary, Indiana. Gary is perhaps the most tragic entry on this list because of its potential. Look at it on a map. It sits right on the southern shore of Lake Michigan. It has miles of beaches. It is only 25 miles from downtown Chicago. In any other universe, this would be prime million-dollar waterfront real estate. It should be the Malibu of the Midwest. Instead, it is Gary. Founded by U.S. Steel, this city was the magic city of the early 20th century. It had grand architecture, electric trains, and a booming middle class. It is the birthplace of Michael Jackson, but a combination of white flight, industrial decline, and decades of political corruption turned Gary into a shell. The population has crashed. The tax base evaporated. Today, you can buy a house in Gary for $1. I repeat, $1. The city has programs where they will sell you a property for $1 if you promise to fix it up. And yet, people still hesitate. Why? Because that $1 house comes with a catch. It comes with tens of thousands of dollars in back taxes. It comes with code violations that require a complete gut renovation. Driving through Gary feels like driving through a post-apocalyptic movie set. You will see grand neoclassical banks with trees growing out of the roof. You will see the beautiful City Methodist Church, a Gothic masterpiece standing empty and roofless, used only for vampire movies and wedding photos for goths. The air still smells of sulfur from the few remaining mills. The crime rate is still dangerously high. Real estate here hasn't just gone to zero, it has gone into the negative. The cost to rehabilitate these homes is significantly higher than the market value of the finished house. Unless you are a visionary with deep pockets, a local crew, and a lifetime of patience, Gary is a trap. It is a reminder of how quickly a city can fall. Number 5. East St. Louis, Illinois. Just across the river from the famous Gateway Arch in St. Louis, Missouri, lies East St. Louis, Illinois. If you stand in East St. Louis and look west, you see the beautiful skyline of St. Louis. But if you turn around, you see a different world. In the 1950s, this was a thriving industrial hub. It was called the Pittsburgh of the West. It was a critical railroad center. It had a population of over 80,000 people. It was bustling. Today, the population is under 18,000. That is a population loss of nearly 80%. Imagine if 4 out of every 5 people in your town just vanished. Imagine the empty houses, the empty schools, the empty churches. That is East St. The result is a landscape of abandonment that is hard for the human mind to comprehend. There are entire city blocks where nature has completely taken over. The streets are broken asphalt. The streetlights don't work. The police department is chronically underfunded and overwhelmed. You can buy a lot of land here for a few $100s. You can buy a house for $10,000. But what are you buying into? The infrastructure is failing. The sewer systems have major issues. There are no major grocery stores. It is a classified food desert, meaning you have to leave town just to buy fresh vegetables. It is a stark, painful example of urban decay and systemic neglect. While the land is cheap, the quality of life is non-existent. Retiring here isn't an option for anyone seeking peace or security. It is a place that needs serious help, not real estate investors looking for a quick flip. It is a city that was left behind. Number 4. Bombay Beach, California. Let's go to the desert. Let's go to the Salton Sea. In the 1950s, the Salton Sea was branded as the California Riviera. It was a miracle in the desert, a massive inland sea created by an engineering accident. Frank Sinatra hung out here. The Beach Boys visited. Developers built a resort town called Bombay Beach, promising luxury, boating, water skiing, and sun. But the Salton Sea was an ecological time bomb. It is a terminal lake, meaning water flows in, but it doesn't flow out. Over time, the water evaporated, and the salt and agricultural chemicals concentrated. The water became saltier than the ocean. It became toxic. The fish started dying. By the millions. Their bodies washed up on the shore, rotting in the desert heat. Their skeletons were crushed into a fine white powder, creating a crunchy sand made entirely of bones. The smell of rotting fish and sulfur filled the air. The tourists fled. The property values crashed to absolute zero. Today, Bombay Beach is, well, it is one of the weirdest places on Earth. It is still inhabited, but it looks like the set of a Mad Max movie. The houses that are left are often trailers encased in mud or graffiti. You can buy a lot here for a few $1,000s. Recently, it has become a haven for artists, anarchists, and drifters. They have turned the abandoned structures into bizarre art installations. There is a drive-in theater filled with junk cars. There are sculptures made of trash. It is cool to visit for an hour to take photos for Instagram. But to live there? You are breathing toxic dust. The Salton Sea is drying up, exposing the lake bed, which releases arsenic and selenium into the air when the wind blows. The asthma rates are sky high. The nearest hospital is miles away. The summer heat hits 120 degrees. It is a real estate market built on a toxic waste dump. It is fascinating, but it is unlivable. Number 3. Detroit, Michigan. Number 3. Detroit. Specifically, the Dollar House neighborhoods. Now wait, before you get angry in the comments, I know Detroit is having a comeback. The downtown is vibrant. Prices are going up in Corktown and Midtown. Hipsters are moving in. Coffee shops are opening. But we are talking about the vast residential neighborhoods that sprawl for miles outside the core. We are talking about the neighborhoods that haven't seen the comeback yet. Detroit became famous internationally for the $1 house and the $500 house. People from all over the world, from London to Tokyo, read the headlines and thought, I will buy a mansion in Detroit for $500. I will be a real estate mogul. And they did. And then they lost everything. Here is the trap of the Detroit cheap house. You buy the house for $500. Then you walk in and realize the copper plumbing has been stripped by thieves. The furnace is gone. The wiring is gone. The roof has a hole the size of a car, and there is water damage from the basement to the attic. And then the tax bill comes. Even though the house is a shell, the city might still assess it at a higher value, or there might be years of back taxes attached to the deed that you are now responsible for. Then there is the land bank compliance. If you buy from the city, you are often required to bring the house up to code within 6 months. That requires tens of thousands of dollars in renovations and professional contractors. If you fail to meet the deadline, they take the house back. You lose your money and your house. Real estate went to zero here because the housing stock outpaced the population by millions. There are simply too many houses and not enough people. You can still find streets in Detroit that look like farmland because so many houses have been demolished that the remaining ones sit on acres of empty grass. Unless you are a professional contractor with a local crew and a lot of cash, the cheap Detroit house is the fastest way to go bankrupt. Number 2. Cairo, Illinois. Cairo breaks your heart. Located at the confluence of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers, this city has one of the best geographic locations in North America. It should be a logistics hub. It should be a booming metropolis. In the 1920s, it was wealthy. It had grand Victorian mansions, an opera house, and a bustling main street. But a combination of intense racial tension, constant flooding threats, and economic shifts destroyed it. The population dropped from 15,000 to about 1,700. Today, the historic downtown is a ghost town. It is one of the most surreal sights in America. The buildings are still there, beautiful, hand-laid brick structures with ornate ironwork, but they are crumbling. The roofs are caving in. Trees are growing through the windows of the bank. The sidewalks are cracked and empty. You can buy a historic mansion in Cairo for $50,000. A smaller house for $15,000. But who will be your neighbor? Silence. The town has no grocery store. It has no gas station in the main part of town. The hospital closed. When you walk down Washington Avenue, you are often the only person there. It feels like the rapture happened, and everyone just left. It is one of the most atmospheric places in America, but as a real estate investment, it is zero. The cost to stabilize those historic buildings is higher than they will ever be worth. The levees surrounding the town are a constant reminder of the river's threat. It is a town waiting to fall into the river. Number 1. Salton City, California. And finally, number 1. The ultimate real estate hallucination. We are back at the Salton Sea, but on the west shore. While Bombay Beach was the resort, Salton City was supposed to be the suburb. It was the dream of the Riviera. In the 60s, developers laid out hundreds of miles of roads. They put in street signs. They put in sewage lines. They sold thousands upon thousands of lots to people who dreamed of retiring by the water in California. Look at satellite imagery of Salton City today. It is shocking. You will see a massive, perfect grid of streets that stretches into the desert for miles. But there are no houses. It is a city of empty cul-de-sacs. A city of driveways that lead to nowhere. A city of stop signs where nobody stops. People bought these lots for thousands of dollars in the 60s. Today, you can buy them on eBay for practically nothing. Why? Because the sea is dying. The smell of the water permeates everything. The dust storms are toxic. The marina is dry and landlocked because the water has receded so far. There are some people who live here in a scattered collection of mobile homes and stucco houses, but the vast majority of the city is just dirt and broken dreams. It represents the ultimate failure of real estate speculation. Just because you build roads doesn't mean it's a city. Just because it's in California doesn't mean it's valuable. Salton City is a monument to the idea that you should always visit before you buy, because on a map it looks like a waterfront paradise. In reality, it is a dusty, smelly, empty grid at the end of the world. So there you have it. 10 towns where the American dream ran out of gas. These places are fascinating history lessons. They are reminders of how economies shift and how nature takes back what is hers. But they are terrible financial advisors. Real estate doesn't always go up. Sometimes it goes away. Have you ever visited any of these dying cities? Did you feel the ghost vibes? Or do you see a potential for a comeback that I missed? Let me know in the comments below. If you appreciate the honesty, hit that like button. It helps the channel survive the algorithm. Subscribe for more guides on where to live and where to definitely not live. I'll see you in the next one.